Okay, so let me just make sure I'm unprepared. Good, I'm unprepared. All right, we can start. So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm joined again by Paul Taylor. I don't know if I've already done a 15-minute introduction before this,
right.
But anyway.
I think last time I just said don't do one, and you didn't.
I think I won't.
And just straight into it. Oh. And this is another situation. This is almost the same as last time, where we're in a different location. We're in my studio this time, as opposed to your place. But we are recording your podcast.
Yes.
And then afterwards we're going to do my live, which technically is in the future.
Your YouTube live, which is in the future.
But for your listeners, it will be in the past.
Yes.
Because by the time this episode comes out, it'll be after my live.
Yeah, so we are trapped in some sort of weird time loop.
Just like last time. I remember we had a lot of fun with that. It's like, hold on. So right now we're in the past. Because on my live, I'll be saying to my people on the live, I'll be like, hey, me and Luke, we just recorded a podcast in the past, but it's coming out in the future. But for that podcast, we were recording it in the past, but it's coming out in the future. No, I've just said that twice, haven't I?
What's the grammar that we have to use here? Which tense? So, okay, let me try and explain it. So, listeners, obviously you are listening to this episode of my podcast, joined once again by Paul Taylor. And I'm videoing this, so people...
Hi, YouTube.
May be watching this on YouTube as well. Hello. But also, after this, we're going to record one of Paul's YouTube lives. So, listeners, you will have... No, by the time you... Okay.
Yeah, by the time they listen to this...
them listening to this now, they will have... No, we will have recorded your YouTube live. So they will
already be up.
They will be able to... They are able to watch it now because Paul has put up... He's uploaded the video that we will have recorded by the time you are listening to this.
There we go. That's like a past, future... sentence.
Yeah, exactly. Every tense included in one situation.
Yeah, the present. You can go and watch the happy hour live
that we will have recorded by the time that you are now listening to this because it is available to you now because Paul has uploaded it because we finished recording it
in the future.
In real time now. It's fucking too confusing.
It's just because mine is live and it stays up straight away and yours is edited and you put it out a couple of days or weeks afterwards.
Yes, that's right.
So that's the situation.
So we are in Paul's, do you call it a studio?
I call it a studio. I mean, it's technically my stand-up producer's office, but I call it the studio. I just call it a studio because it feels like it's not an office.
Yeah, it's a studio. It's a place where you record. You've got like lights and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
There's professional professional looking.
Yeah, they're very cheap Amazon lights that look professional. Like those of you who are watching this video on YouTube, if I swing this light over into your face, you'll see this
blinded me.
This is one of the lights that's lighting the studio. There's two others.
It's good. It works. And so I'm using my camera in Paul's room. So this might look a bit like an episode of Happy Hour with Paul Taylor, but with a slightly different camera.
Yeah.
Now, I think that this episode, Paul, is going to be almost exactly the same as the last time you were on this podcast. Last time you were on the podcast, I think it was called Paul is on the podcast / random questions with Paul Taylor.
Yeah.
Do you remember the concept of that?
No. Had you asked your listeners before questions for me? No? Random questions?
No. So basically I had come up with a list of questions with different themes and you just called out numbers and then I asked you those questions.
Okay.
And then there were different kind of questions, conversation points, little challenges and things like that.
Okay.
So it's going to be a repeat of the last time we did this, not just because we're going to do an episode of Happy Hour with Paul Taylor after this, but also because the concept is the same. Because
it's part 2 of the Future Past podcast.
That's right. It's the second part of it. Oh, anyway, let's not get bogged down in all those things again. So last time, yes, I came up with way too many questions.
Yeah.
I had 50 questions. And another thing we need to deal with, another thing that's the same, is that Amber is not here again.
This is true.
And
it's the same problem again. Last time it was because childcare.
Yeah.
and the schools have just closed in France, so it's the same problem again.
That's right.
Because we were supposed to go out for lunch tomorrow, I think, the three of us.
Yes, that's right. We were going to see each other for a kind of a monthly Pod Pals meeting.
Yeah.
But that's been cancelled because, childcare has been taken out of the picture because of the new COVID confinement measures that have been introduced by the French government. Basically, schools are closed, and so Amber suddenly has got children to look after again. And she
only just got creche as well, like nursery, after a year of just being like, I don't have nursery. Then she finally got nursery, I think, at the beginning of this year. 2 months, bang, finished.
She got like some time to herself, and then the government was like, actually, no, here are your children again. Anyway, last time we called Amber on the phone, do you remember? And we found her answer phone message, which was basically, "Hi, Amber, this is Amber. I can't get to the phone. Just don't leave me a message. Don't. No, that's it. What is it? Don't call me back.
I think it's like, don't leave me. I've forgotten. It's just like, don't leave me a message.
Just send me a text, something like that." Maybe we should try and call Amber at some point, although she's probably trying to put children in bed and things like that. Okay, so here we go. 50 questions and challenges on various topics in no particular order.
Okay.
They're just conversation starters, really, he says, reading from his notes. Tell me a number from 1 to 50 and I'll ask you that question or set you that challenge. Here are the little challenges. Guess the idiom.
Yeah.
Right, and I've got here...
Oh, you've come prepared with the material.
Rummaging through my bag, I have the Oxford Idioms Dictionary for Learners of English.
Oh, I love it.
Other idioms dictionaries are available by other publishers, but I happen to have the Oxford one on me today. So there's Guess the Idiom, which is where I explain an idiom and you have to try and guess what it is, and we'll see how you don't know any phrases or words in your own language. What else? We've got Random Accent.
Yeah, I remember that.
You have to speak in a certain accent for a bit. Watch out, there are 2 culturally inappropriate ones.
Okay.
Last time we did a...
Culturally inappropriate for us white people, because I imagine for the people of those cultures, it's not culturally inappropriate.
They are allowed to speak in their own accent, but let's not get into all the politics of that. But some accents are, a little bit offensive if certain people do them. Arguably, depends how well you do them as well.
Yeah, and
the situation. But anyway, you do need to tread carefully sometimes when copying different people's accents. Didn't
I get in trouble for doing a Russian accent one time on your podcast?
I don't think it was the accent. So I think the very first time you were on my podcast, you did do a Russian impression, but it wasn't the accent. The accent, people were quite happy to hear you doing a Russian accent, and now obviously everyone wants you to do it now. But
hello, my name is Paul Taylor. I am from England.
What, you're England? You're not. That's like the worst Russian spy ever.
What?
I am from England, honestly.
I drinking beer with my friend Luke. What was it? What I got in trouble for something?
You got in trouble for just the usual, just like trotting out various stereotypes of Russia that everyone drinks vodka all the time, blah blah blah.
Right, yeah, that was it. Somebody was like, "Oh,
I'm very disappointed that Paul thinks that everyone in
It's not. It's just when you do an accent. Here's the thing: when you imitate an accent, you automatically go to the stereotypical things because that's what makes it funny. Mm-hmm. If you're making fun of an English accent, right? When people make fun of British English accents.
Yeah,
right?
But it's annoying though, isn't it? Oh, fancy a cup of tea?
Yeah, but it's annoying, but it's still like, what else are they going to say? They're obviously going to be like, oh, hello, would you like a cup of tea? Yes, very posh. Yes, hello, I'm the queen. Yes. They go for the stereotypical. It's the same thing in French when you're like, ah ha ha, Macron, les oignons, ah ha ha. Like, you have to do, it's just part, they go together. You can't, it's just, imagine, you can't imitate a French accent and talk about football. It just doesn't. You can't be like, the player, he put the ball in the back of the net. Like, it doesn't.
That's quite good.
It's not as funny as if you go, les cigarettes, le café.
I don't know. I disagree. I think it's better when you do it when you talk like a French person. It's you're good at doing a French accent.
Did I tell you?
For me, it would be funnier if you did do that French character talking about
English things,
almost anything else other than the stereotypes.
You know what I've thought about doing? I've thought about doing a mini series on TikTok.
Tangent.
Yeah,
go on.
About if French presidents spoke Cockney. So you know, like French presidents, they speak English sometimes at the UN or
like Hollande. Be what you want to can do.
Yeah. We can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So basically, there's like clips of these different French presidents speaking English at different points, and I was thinking of dubbing them over in Cockney.
Yeah.
But so that the lips match.
Yeah.
So it sounds like their actual voice, and like recreating the whole soundscape and like all that kind of. Because you have to get rid of all of the audio in the thing, and then I'd just be like, "You can't do what we want to do."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, if French presidents spoke in a Cockney accent,
You should do it.
and like the same thing if you know, when Boris Johnson, I think, has spoken French a couple of times, or when the Queen speaks French, I would just love to like find a video of the Queen speaking French and just dubbing her over like in normal or in Canadian French.
Yeah, with like a really strong Parisian accent.
Yeah,
or something.
it'd be amazing.
Yes, that would be good.
Anyway,
That would be good.
Tangent, go on.
Tangent.
So I have to choose a number. You were going through the different things. So.
Okay, I was going through the challenges. We will get to this thing in a moment, I promise everybody. Last time you had Brazilian Portuguese, and I had a few comments.
Oh yeah,
From people were impressed by your ability to speak.
was I doing it in? I wasn't speaking Portuguese. I was doing it in.
I think you were trying to speak English with a Brazilian Portuguese accent.
And they liked it. That's
liked
good.
it.
All right.
Listeners, if you want to hear that, you'll need to go back to the previous episode of what I think I might call this Lucky Dip with Paul Taylor.
Lucky dip. I like it.
Although the last one wasn't called Lucky Dip, and it's the same thing, but I think I'll call it Lucky Dip.
What was the last one called?
Just like Paul is on the podcast / random questions with Paul Taylor. It did well. I mean, the episode did well, but Lucky Dip with Lucky Dip with Paul Taylor. Anyway,
Lucky tit.
that would be another concept. So
Let's have it.
there's also Guess the Punchline. Ah, damn. I forgot to bring a book. I forgot to bring the joke book. It's all right. I'll think of something. Guess the punchline. And in that one, I'll tell you the setup to a joke, and you have to guess the punchline. I might give you some clues. This probably won't be very funny.
Yeah, it never worked, did it? That one didn't work because it's just very difficult to... Well, maybe the number that I don't... Because I might not even choose one of these. Like, you know, the numbers I might choose might end up being all of the other things and
You
not
might
that.
Not
We'll
get
see.
that.
We'll see.
I might skip that.
We will play it by ear. Guess the idiom.
Very good.
Oh.
Citizenship test is another one.
Yes, I love it.
Try to answer a random question from the British Citizenship Test, and you do have to pronounce British Citizenship Test as well as part of the challenge. Okay, so some of the questions have been crossed out. Those are the ones you did last time. Let's carry on. So give me a number then, please. Between 1 and 50.
I'm going to pick... I've forgotten his number now. Hold on. My little brother's...
And by the way, we're drinking beer, listeners, because we're in the studio where Paul does this, and he has a little fridge down there.
I do.
Containing beers, which is good. So cheers. Cheers, everybody, and cheers, Paul.
Yeah, cheers. Hold on. Let's get the cheers on the mic. There we go. 28.
Number 20.
Because it's my little brother's number when he plays football.
Where'd you buy your tea?
Where do I buy my tea? That's a great question. Thanks to a pretty well-known host of a podcast called Luke Thompson. He suggested that I get Marks & Spencer's Gold Blend. Mm-hmm. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Because a couple of times when I was in the early days of the original SkyPod, I don't know if that was the original SkyPod. The one, Terrace.
Yeah, the original.
I don't know if you had a SkyPod before that.
I've been in other places recording the podcast before that, but that was.
It wasn't in the sky.
No, that was the original SkyPod. Yeah.
Luke did give me cups of teas, and I really enjoyed that. So I usually get them from Marks and Spencer, unless I can't be bothered because there's not really one near me. In which case, I go for Tetley. Because it's the only one that's like readily available in French news. Yeah, exactly.
Your local supermarket.
There's that, or there's what was the other one? Twinings English breakfast. Yeah, they're not great to be honest. Neither of them. The ones I have at the office currently are PG Tips Pyramids.
Because I got them for you.
Oh, you did? Yeah, you brought them last time. They're yours. Yeah, exactly. That's true. And the other ones are Taylor's of Harrogate's.
Yes, and
I think Amber brought those.
Taylor's of Harrogate's, I think, are good. I think so.
They're all right. They're not as anywhere near as good as the Marks and Spencer. Like nothing has beaten that for me so far. And now all the other teas taste like shit.
Yeah, that's the thing. That if you get used to good tea,
Yeah.
then all other tea is just like unacceptable and horrible.
Well, then the problem is like sometimes it's months before I go back to Marks and Spencer, so then I end up getting like Tetley, and I deal with that, and I get used to that again.
Yeah.
And it makes it even better when I then go back to Marks and Spencer's and get the gold blend. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, hits the spot,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Okay, and all right, so there isn't really a Marks and Spencer near you, is there? I
No.
think. Okay, all right. Very good, very interesting. Shall we move on? Paul's looking for numbers, like you don't know the numbers.
I am.
You don't even know them.
I'm going to go for this beer runs out on 020222. So there's lots of twos in there. I'm going to go with two, just two.
Just two. Do you ever speak in another accent that isn't yours? Like, for example, when you're alone in the house, do you ever just like natter away to yourself in another accent which is not yours? If so, which one? And tell us more.
I will do, I'll do two.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm talking to myself or if I'm banging onto myself in English, I sometimes slip into either Irish, like Northern Irish, because my mum's Northern Irish. Northern Irish. Fucking bastard, so you are. Or Scottish, depending on what I'm talking about. There's not really a rule, but sometimes, I'll slip into Northern Irish or Scottish.
Okay.
If I'm doing English.
Give us a blast of the Scottish then. Let's say
Scottish.
What were you doing? You're just messing around trying to set up your recording stuff.
If I'm setting up, it's more, it won't be like full sentences I'll be doing in those accents if I am. It'll be like it'll be like a burst of words or something. You know, like if I don't know, if something's not working, I'll just be like, you stupid bastard.
It's normally anger.
Yeah, it'll be a couple of words here and there. Actually, there's a theme through this. Yeah, it's anger. When I slip into Irish, Scottish, or in French, the other accent I do is Québécois, where I'll swear in Québécois instead of French. Tabarnak de colis. It just for me it sounds better than it does in French. I don't French swearing I don't find very funny. Like it doesn't inspire. Spanish I love.
Gives a bit of Spanish swearing. Spanish listeners, Paul is about to break forth with some Spanish swearing. Be prepared.
Spanish swearing. It's been a long time. Me cago en tu puta madre. Joder, tío. Lo que pasa es que estamos aquí grabando un podcast con Luke's English Podcast. Muy bien, perfecto. Me cago en tu puta madre. It just sounds good.
Did you shit in the milk at any point there?
No, I shit in your mother who's a whore. Me cago is I shit, and tu puta madre is your mother who's a whore.
How do you physically do that? Shit inside my mother, who by the way is a whore.
Yeah, so I thought about this, the logistics about it.
I love the way it's tacked on. I shit in your mother who, in addition, is a whore.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's like your mother's a whore and I shit in her. But I figured out logistically, I mean, if your mother is a whore, then I can pay for her to...
So she gets money from this?
Well, she gets money because basically, I'd stop off at Bois de Boulogne in Paris, which is renowned for where prostitutes hang out, right? And I would pay her. I'd be like, get in the van, and some sexual stuff's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And when she's not expecting it, I shit in her. Okay. That's the only way that I can imagine being able... Because if I was just having tea around your mum's house, it would be difficult for me to shit in her.
Well, it also added into the insult is the fact that she's a whore, so that's already built into this scenario.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, if it was just me cago en tu madre, if I shit in your mum, I find that more of a difficult thing to do. Like I like props if you do that, because me cago en tu puta madre, I shit in your mother who's a whore. You know, if your sexual thing is to shit in people's mouths, then some people like it. I don't know why, but anyway.
I have to say, we should move on.
You asked.
I have to say that we must move on.
You asked
from talking about.
All right, so Scottish, Irish, and Québécois.
Okay.
Numbers 28. 26.
You did that last time.
Oh, I did it last time, didn't I?
Sorry.
All right. What about number 9?
Number 9. Okay. This one is random accent.
Okay.
And it says somewhere in Scotland, but you've done that.
I've just done Scotland. Glasgow. Glasgow's just fucking rough. So
that's I can feel. What's that comedian coming through?
Kevin Bridges.
Yeah.
Don't need your English bastard money. That's Michael McIntyre imitating
Scottish
Scotland.
person.
But
let me roll through my mental Rolodeck of accents now and ask you to do something. Okay, let's see. I'd like to try and do New Zealand, which is difficult because
New Zealand's really difficult. It's funny. I just watched an interview.
Yes.
Of Jacinda. I don't know her last name. The Prime Minister of New Zealand interviewing Jimmy Carr.
Oh yeah,
literally about an hour before you arrived.
Jimmy Carr, the comedian. From England.
And so I've got the accent in my head, but I just can't reproduce it. Do you know what I mean?
It's difficult. You see, if I try and do Kiwi, it becomes Australian. If I try and do Australian, it becomes.
It's the same thing,
Kiwi.
yeah. Like if I was to do so this beer is called Brewdog Punk IPA, and the thing says United we stand for better beer, fiercely defiant and independent. Okay,
bitter beer. No, I'm trying to do it myself in my head. Go on.
Yeah. I can't do it. If I was, because I slip into Australian. Brewdog Punk IPA. That's Australian. United we stand. No, I can't do it. It's United. It's
Paul. Imagine you're watching all of the DVD extras from the Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings trilogy with Peter Jackson.
Oh, that's good.
Peter Jackson, and all of the good people at the Witter Workshop. Witter, not Wetter.
The Witter
Wetter Workshop, but they call it the Witter Workshop. I can't do it.
Store cold. Yeah, you're better than me though. Store cold, drink fresh.
Imagine you're watching an interview with Taika Waititi.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is?
Is that a rugby player?
No, he's a director.
Is he?
He directed some of the Marvel films and
okay.
Flight of the Conchords.
Oh, okay. Fiercely defiant and independent. I can't do it. It's just Australian.
Okay, you slipped almost into South African there, which is weird. We've talked about this before.
It's because those three sound very. There is
something similar.
I can do South African better. I can do Australian and South African. New Zealand I can't do. Like South Africa would be like Brewdog Punk IPA. United we stand for better beer. Fiercely defiant and independent. That's ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's better than my non-existent New Zealand.
I have to say, it takes work getting the accents right, and like me putting you on the spot is a little tricky. But if I gave you, a couple of hours to just watch loads of videos of,
I would be able to do it.
You'd come back and you'd have nailed it because you are good at those accents.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh shit! There was something I was going to say.
You were going to say a number. That's what you were going to say.
Maybe, yeah. There was something about accents, though. Oh, yeah. What's interesting is that for us they sound different, but for a lot of people who aren't English speakers, they won't know the difference.
Yes.
And I found this out when I did one of my happy hours with Nathaniel Drew, who's a YouTuber. He's American.
Yes, I know him. Know of him.
And somebody in the comments while we were live said, "Can you imitate each other's accent?" So I pretended to be Nathaniel, and he pretended to be me. And he's got like a really exaggerated English Dick Van Dyke type of. Basically, yeah. Anyway. And in the comments, a lot of French people are like, I can't hear the difference between both of their things, and it's so it's a big difference.
So disappointing when people say that to me.
Yeah, but it's just the same as like in France. It's difficult for us to tell a difference whether you're from Alsace or you're from the north of France or whatever. Like the south is pretty easy for me to understand, but the Belgium, Switzerland, Alsace, I can't distinguish. The same thing as if like people in China have obviously got different accents. I couldn't tell you. For me, they would just sound to me Chinese. Yeah, because it's a language I don't understand.
It's interesting that when you're listening to a foreign language that you're familiar with, even it seems that I guess we must focus on different things, or just like it's almost like the what do you call it? Like the rainbow, or all of the different colours. What do you call that? I can't remember. Like, the
spectrum.
Spectrum, exactly. That in your native language.
For once,
yeah,
I have a word that you don't on this podcast. Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened. It's normally me going, "What's the word in English? How do you say that?"
And I'm like, spectrum, of course, but not this time. There's a first time for everything. So anyway, in the same way that some people are able to see the entire spectrum of colours. right? Where am I going with this? That like if you're a native speaker of the language, you're able to hear the entire spectrum of accents and everything. For learners of English, it's sort of like certain things are just not available to you. Like you can't pick up on things like little subtle changes in accent, which for us are really significant.
You say that though, but it's not only native. For me, because there's a lot of Americans that don't hear the difference between English, Australian, New Zealand, and South African, and that like it's the amount of times I've been to the US and I've been to a Starbucks or something, and somebody asks me if I'm Australian, and then I go no, and then they say, "Are you South African?" I'm like, "No."
You know why? Because they're hearing English that isn't like Jason Statham or that isn't the Queen. It's either, for the Americans, we are either Jason Statham, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we are, hello.
Yeah, it's Guy Ritchie films.
Yeah.
Or
it's the Royal Family,
or the Crown.
Downton Abbey, the Crown.
Exactly.
It's either Guy Ritchie or the Crown or Downton Abbey.
See the man's up the apples and pears, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? Like basically, hello, yes.
Either one of those two things. Whereas if you are anything else, then they're like, are you Australian? Where are you from? Are you from South Africa?
Yeah, that's a good point actually. But yeah, so it's not really. It's not to do with being. For me, it's not to do with being native or not. It's to do with the amount of. It's to do with the spectrum that you grow up in. And British people, we grew up in a country where the spectrum is so wide on such a small island. On TV, you hear the different accents. Like we get brought up in the mix with the Scottish, the Northern Irish, the Welsh, the different parts of England. Whereas in the US, if you grow up in North Carolina, you're exposed to, mostly on TV, the standard American accent and like the New York, Boston accent. But you don't get British TV over there that much, apart from James Bond, The Crown, Guy Ritchie.
It's just that thing about in America where, sometimes you hear American people talking about the world, all over the world, and they mean America. Yeah. Like some American people think the world is like America is the world, and there's some other places too.
Yeah, that speak other languages.
It's kind of a bit like that. They don't necessarily get the same exposure to different types of English that we do in England, where we get so much American TV and films and things, and so we're a lot more familiar with. I feel like we're a lot more familiar with their culture and accents and stuff
than they are with ours. Yeah.
Although I also think that there's a lot that I don't know about American accents and things too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was number 2.
Okay.
Yes.
Do number 40.
Number 40 coming up. So, okay. As a comedian, someone who's got a sort of online presence and all that stuff, do you ever worry about getting cancelled? And maybe we should just explain what being cancelled or getting cancelled means.
Yeah, getting cancelled or cancel culture is this thing that's popped up in the past few years because of the rise of social media, etc., is where somebody will say something and it's a controversial thing that they've said, and because of that, then the Twitter takes them down. Like somebody on Twitter will be like, "Oh, look, I found this tweet from 10 years ago where somebody said a homophobic joke, and now he needs to not. We need to cancel this person, which means basically don't watch any of their shows, take them off Netflix, take them lose all their sponsorship deals. It's not only for comedians, but like YouTubers. There's certain YouTubers who." Something's come up in their videos or in their careers or something, and then they get cancelled, they lose all their monetization. It's like this very knee-jerk response. I like the term knee-jerk. Like, I don't even know where that comes from. It's just like
it's because like when you
jerk your knee.
When you tap a certain part of your knee, your leg jerks.
Oh, I thought it was like a knee-jerk.
I think it's more like just a response that people have without thinking.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, the reflex. Yeah, it's like
reflex.
This automatic thing now that, as soon as somebody gets accused now of anything, and it's still not proven, they lose all of their things. It'd be like, this person's in this film franchise and they're accused of sexual harassment. Bang, they lose everything.
Yeah, they lose their job, they lose their career, they lose all their opportunities.
Yeah.
They lose their place in the industry. And even if it hasn't actually been proven, that's the kind of scary thing. It's sort of like vigilantism of sorts. I mean, I think in some cases there's probably justification for it, but who knows? We don't know. There's no due process. That's the thing.
I'm not worried about it because I've done nothing wrong, in the sense that, like, if some sexual harassment had have happened in my, outside of comedy, because the thing is like there's a comedian recently that went through it called Chris D'Elia, who he got it wasn't even accused, because it was, well, basically a bunch of women came out saying that he had contacted them when they were underage, in like a sexual way, like people, he's good looking. Young girls would come to his shows. They would Instagram him, and he would then reply to the messages and be like, "Oh, like, let's hang out, whatever, let's go, whatever the thing was." And so this came out, like screenshots of these conversations came out, and he kind of got cancelled. For like a few months. He's now back doing his YouTube podcast and stuff. But that's actually someone that's done something wrong. It's not doing a joke about something wrong. It's not the same as doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
So someone like Bill Burr, who's a comedian in the US, his topics of jokes are very controversial. He is like he's very misogynistic in his jokes. But it's on purpose, Like, yes. I don't think he's not actually misogynistic. Like, he doesn't beat his wife. His wife is an accomplished writer. Like, they get on well together. And this is through having listened to his podcasts for years and seen, like, I don't know him personally, but you can kind of get a vibe for who he is.
And he's not, it's not just about beating people. It's also about sort of the way he treats his wife. And we know that he's totally reasonable with her and all those things.
Well, and there was a whole thing about him the other day because it was like Bill Burr is uncancelable.
Yeah.
Because he hosted the Grammy Awards.
I saw that.
And I can't remember the joke that he said, but it was something along the lines of, you just wait until all these white women start complaining about the fact that there's a white cis male presenting all these Latin American awards. And so obviously all the white women on Twitter went crazy, being like, no. Thing is, he hasn't raped anyone, he hasn't sexually harassed anyone that we know of yet. Like, maybe it'll come out in like 10 years, but what I mean is like, you can't be cancelled if you're just saying stuff about, and you're a comedian. I don't think there's been a comedian that's been cancelled because they've said a joke. Having said that, Kevin Hart lost his job at the Oscars because he made a homophobic joke 10 years ago.
10 years before. Yeah.
So,
but basically, you don't worry about being cancelled.
No, I don't worry about being cancelled because I don't. I mean, maybe one day I'll make a joke. But here's the thing: if I make an inappropriate joke and it doesn't go down well, I'll just be like, all right, cool, the joke didn't work, but it was a joke. Like, I'm not seriously saying that whatever the joke is. Do you know what I mean? I do think about it though, because I did a video recently with Topito, the French kind of media company that have a big online presence that a friend of ours works with, and I did a video about becoming a dad, and I was just like, yeah, it's shit, whatever,
ranting
I don't
it.
like it, whatever. And then the guy asked, like, is there some funny parts to it though? And I was like, actually, it's funny, you should ask that. There's a video, a thing that happened the other day where I showed a picture to my baby of a friend of mine called Adam, who's one of my best friends in Paris. He's gay. And I showed the picture of him to Louise. And I said, Louise, who's this? What's his name? And she took out a dummy and she went, a gay. And
really?
Yeah, I'll play it. I'll play the audio of it. And so I was telling,
by coincidence,
just by complete coincidence,
because kids say sometimes they just say nonsense.
Yeah, she can't speak properly yet, so that's.
It's not like you've been going to Louise. Look, him, gay, okay, gay. You haven't been like teaching her.
No, exactly. And so I sent the video to him. He found it hilarious. And so it was kind of this thing. But I remember when I was telling the video, when I was telling the story, whatever. Afterwards, I was like, ugh. And then I watched the video back online. I was like, ugh, like people. There could be some backlash against that, being like, "Oh, Paul's homophobic. He's teaching his daughter how to,"
or even just the fact that your daughter pointed at a guy and said "gay," and this is a joke. That the fact that your friend is gay is the point of the joke, which is what some people will take it as, even though it's fine because Adam himself finds this funny and it was just a coincidence.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, if he would not find it funny, and
Who wouldn't?
Adam.
What?
The video, like, at no point was I like, oh, should I send it to him because he might get offended by it, whatever. I was just like, he's definitely going to find this funny.
Oh, so he would not find it funny.
Yeah,
he would find it funny
because there's no malicious stuff behind it. It's not like, do you know what I mean? Here's the let me play it.
It's just funny because little Louise.
I know. Here's the.
What's his name? A gay.
It's like
Adam found that.
Yeah,
funny,
it's just and like we kept on asking her, and she kept on saying a gay, and it's just it was just super funny. Anyway, so I tell that story on this video, and I was like, I wonder if I'll get any backlash from it or whatever. I didn't. Although maybe in the comments I did, I don't know, but because it didn't reach me. Do you know what I mean? It's like a thing of, this is a long conversation about the cancel thing, but it's interesting. I think, like, at what stage do you care what's being said about you on social media, and at what stage does it change actually what's going on? Do you know what I mean? Like, for somebody, I think also I'm not famous enough to be cancelled. That's the other thing. And I think a lot of comedians aren't famous enough to be cancelled. Most comedians are not famous enough to be cancelled. There's maybe 10 comedians that if they do something, you're like, oh, you know. So yeah, but you're always going to, once you get that famous, you then have a fan base that do follow you, and kind of no matter what you do, you might lose some of them because of a joke that you've made or whatever. But the majority of them, as long as you're being honest to yourself, like, they're still going to be, you know, they'll still support you and still, you know, watch your comedy. As
a comedian, you're always going to get a certain amount of negative reaction from people, and including, you know, there's always going to be some dislike in comment sections and stuff like that. But when does that actually turn into the majority of people being, you know, finding something that you've done unacceptable to the point where suddenly you are not bankable as a performer in some way again?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. But it's not something you need to worry about, as you've said, because
because right now, like, I'm pretty independent. Like, I'm doing my stuff on YouTube and my stuff on stage. I've got my producer. Yeah, but she doesn't, like, if she stopped working with me, like, I'd still be able to book. You know, she just helps me do the job. Like, I'd still be able to do it. So it's not like I've got a multi-million-dollar contract with Disney that all of a sudden would come to an end if I said something outrageous.
Yes. Okay, well, I'm glad we've dealt with that. You're gonna
do you worried about getting cancelled on your podcast?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, obviously, I worry about sort of saying something that's without intending to be offensive, but then later realising, oh, that could have been taken wrong. You know, obviously, I worry about those things. And there was do you remember the time? I'm going to get drag myself back into this, but I'm not, because I'm going to handle it with deft and care and attention. There was that time when I was talking about some kind of funny toilet somewhere in the world, and it was in Taiwan.
Okay.
I don't remember the details of the toilet, but it was like a toilet that played music or something, and it was like in Taiwan. And I said, it's going to happen again. I'm going to open the can of worms right here and now. But I will say, if you feel motivated, if you feel moved to get in touch with me about this, to tell me, to straighten me out on this subject, don't. Okay? So the thing is that I said Taiwan was in China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that it was part of China.
Yeah.
And then I was told, no, it's not part of China.
Yeah.
And then I apologized and said, I said it was part of China and it's not.
And then someone
else said, no, it fucking is part of China. And then, like, you know, and then I was like, oh, right, okay. And I still to this day get people writing to me going, well, I think Taiwan is or is not part of China. Yeah, even now, someone is going, I must inform him of what's... I mean, keep it to yourselves.
Yeah, no one cares.
I understand it's complicated. I know, because, you know, we've got Northern Ireland in our country, and
yeah,
you know,
it's political stuff is a nightmare. It's like Catalonia, and Spain.
Absolutely.
And if you're from Taiwan, from China, wherever, and you're dealing with your political stuff, you won't give a shit about what's going on in Spain. Do you know what I mean? So,
but I mean, it's not that I don't give a shit. It's more just that, like, I don't have a. I mean, I'm not. It's not nothing to do. It's nothing to do with me.
Yeah, it's not. It's not that you don't care. It's just that we don't. There's so much else going on that you can't keep up with everything everywhere in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, it would be great to be able to know everything about everywhere and know all of the political things about everywhere and not make a misstep about Israel, Palestine, about Taiwan, China, about Hong Kong, China, about Northern Ireland, Catalonia, about all the, like, it would be amazing to not be able to misstep, but you can only do so much, you know.
Exactly. This is fun, isn't it, folks?
As long as it's not ill-intentioned, and clearly you're not an ill-intentioned person.
No, exactly. Exactly. So if you want to tell me about a country, go ahead. Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, we're all citizens of Lapland.
Oh, I love it.
Lapland. See the way I sorted it out at the end.
Is that kind of like Teletubby Land?
It's a bit like Teletubby Land, except without the slightly dark, weird, post-apocalyptic vibe that you get from Teletubbies.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it, Teletubbies?
Yeah. Do you know what? We've only just started watching it because now Louise is on cartoons.
Yes.
And so we're just watching whatever is on Netflix or Amazon. And so she just points to the screen. I'm like, what do you want to watch? She pointed to Teletubbies one time. Yeah. Now she loves it. But I'd forgotten there was like real stuff in there. As in, like, it's all like Teletubbies, and then it cuts away to like a video thing of like real life.
Yes.
It's not in the cartoon. I don't remember that. I mean, I was too old for Teletubbies back then anyway, but not by a long way, by a few years.
I used to watch it at university with my friends.
Did you?
Like, Teletubbies.
That must have been amazing watching that drunk or high.
It was a very, very weird show, but not because of the condition that we were in, because the show is objectively really, really weird.
With a baby's face in the sun that comes up.
And then at the end of the day, these speakers come up and say, "Time for Tubby, bye-bye," and they all have to go underground.
We've not watched it to the end. We don't get to end of
it's
anything.
Like some Orwellian dystopian future where I don't know. Anyway, pick a number and hopefully it'll be guess the idiom, so that I didn't cart this book all the way here for no reason. This extremely heavy book. It's not really.
18.
18. 18. Guess the idiom.
Oh, come on!
Actually, it was guess the punchline, but we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're going to guess the idiom instead. Okay. As I just sort of flick through some pages in the idiom dictionary, let's see what we find. Okay. Okay. When you want something to be done quickly, you might say this. Like, get me another beer and...
And step on it.
That's good, but it's not right. Step on it like you're in a car. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Step on it.
And get on with it. No, it's not really an idiom, is it?
For me, it's connected to...
On the double.
On the double is good. Think of crocodiles. Get me another beer and...
Snap.
Imagine this. You said, get me a crocodile and make it snappy. There you go.
Oh, make it snappy? Okay.
You ever heard that joke? Get me a crocodile and make it snappy.
No.
Okay, well, there's a first time for everything, as we've already established. Do you want another one?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, this one is when you want someone to be quiet, stop talking, or to stop making noise.
Shut up.
It's good, but it's not right. It refers to an item of clothing that you might wear on your foot. Think of the things that you put on your feet. Socks.
Put a sock in it.
Put a sock in it.
Yes.
It's good, isn't it, that?
I like it.
Put a sock in it.
Yeah, because it's very visual. It's like literally put a sock in your mouth and that will stop you from talking. And I think in films they do that and they put tape over the top of it.
Right, in films they do stick...
Like the bad guys.
Stick a sock or some piece of cloth in your mouth and stick tape over it. Oh, awful. But do you know, apparently the origin of this expression may refer to early gramophones. You know those old record players?
Yeah.
Where you'd put the needle on and there was like a big speaker?
Yeah.
And the sound would come out of the metal cone?
Yeah.
Right? So
for anyone watching this episode, that was a very funny moment where Luke tried to do... He's holding a book in one hand, the idioms book. He's holding the microphone in the other hand. And at some point he tried to use a third hand to explain something, realized he didn't have 3 hands, and then put the book and the microphone. It probably sounded weird as well. It probably sounded like a weird... Anyway, go watch the video.
So those old gramophones, they didn't have volume controls on them because it was very simple. There was no electricity either.
Oh, of course,
it was just a needle, and then the vibration that was the sound
would be amplified through the cone shape of the gramophone.
Exactly. And so to turn the volume down, what would you do?
You'd put a sock in it.
Put a sock in it.
No
Literally
way.
put a sock inside the cone of the gramophone, and that would mute the sound.
Interesting.
Put a sock in it.
Put a sock in it. Yeah, I guess they do that for like trumpets and brass. You know, like they put not a sock, but like a rubber thing in the end.
Well,
like,
I think
like a muffler.
I think also it would refer to trumpets as well, that you could mute or deaden the sound of a trumpet by putting a sock in it. So there you go. So I think, Paul, maybe we should put a sock in it now.
Oh, look at the transition. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed that. We veered into quite serious territory.
We did, but we came out of it.
We did. We survived. Do you feel like we survived?
Maybe we'll get cancelled.
We're going to get cancelled now, aren't we?
Maybe in 2 weeks I'll receive a bunch of tweets. I'll be like, oh no, what happened? There'll be news all over French news. Paul Taylor said something outrageous on Luke's English podcast, but none of us understood it, so he's not cancelled.
There's the Russians who are going to complain about your accent.
The Taiwanese who are going to go mental.
The people of New Zealand are going to be very offended.
Yeah. South Africans as well.
South Africans, Taiwanese, Scottish people.
Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Spain and Catalonia.
God, my mum, don't forget the terrible things we said about my mum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That'll be the thing. Most people are like, I can't believe the things you said about Luke Thompson's mum.
Yeah. That's... There's a lot of people to be mad at us at this episode, and it's only 47 minutes long.
Yes. Right, here's what we're going to do now. First of all, we're going to tell them that they will be able to watch now Paul Taylor's Happy Hour Live, which is on Paul Taylor's YouTube channel, which is called Paul Taylor on YouTube.
No, it's called Paul Taylor's Happy Hour Live.
It's called Paul Taylor's...
I created a new YouTube channel.
Okay, so there's Paul Taylor on YouTube, and there's Paul Taylor's Happy Hour Live on YouTube. Go there, and you'll find probably... Oh, that was a noise.
That's the 1 hour. Oh.
We've got 1 hour until we go live. So you'll find it anyway. Also, I'll put it on the page for this episode on my website, and also you'll find the link to that video in the description for this if you want to see more of us talking crap together. Although you're going to be the host for this one, and I will be subject to your
for
questions.
The Happy Hour Live, yeah. Well, and the cool thing is Happy Hour Live. Not that again. We said this, I think, last time. Is that it's the audience asks us questions, and I'm like the moderator of the questions. But sometimes not. But the thing is, I would say watch it live, because then you can ask Luke something live, but you won't be able to watch it live because even though it's happening in the future for us, it happened in the past for you.
Yep. But you can still watch it later.
You can watch it after the live, yeah. So definitely watch it.
Anyway, check the links and stuff. You'll find the video there. And also, if you want to, page for this episode on my website, you'll find it there as well. I think that's it. The other thing is we need to order some food.
We do.
What do you want to get? Any ideas?
There's two things that you sound excited about something that
I was going to suggest something.
Go on. What were you going to suggest?
I was going to suggest that we get a bibimbap.
A bibimbap. I don't know what that is, but it sounds amazing. Is it like burgers but Asian? No?
Asian. Yes.
Is bibimbap is that the name of the restaurant, or is that a type of food?
Type of food. So I want to give a shout out to all the Korean Lepsters in the house.
How do you spell it? Bibim.
So search for Bibim House. B-I-B-M. B-I-B-M. Hold on. B-I-B-I-M-B-A-P. No, just Bibim, and then the word house. Bibim House is the restaurant.
And they don't deliver to here.
We couldn't find anything for Bibim House.
It's because it's too far away from where you... Bibimbap's opening later.
Bibimbap is a Korean food. It's a type of Korean food.
Okay.
So I want to give a shout out to my Korean listeners.
Because the other thing that I was going to suggest was Korean fried chicken.
Oh, well, fine. Let's do that.
There's a Korean fried chicken place.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. But we can. I'm up for bibimbap because I always have Korean fried chicken.
Okay. So shout out to the
Shout out to the Koreans.
Koreans. Thank you for inventing Korean food, including bibimbap and anything else that comes from Korea. So thank you very much for that. So the only people who will be happy, the only nation or culture that will not want to cancel us will be the Koreans. Unless we somehow pronounced bibimbap wrong, and then they'll be unhappy.
Yeah, the way you pronounced it means your mother's a whore.
And
now you've just insulted everyone in Korea's mums.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, anyway, we're going to chow down on some nice Korean food. Thank you very much for listening to this episode and for watching the video, if indeed you have been watching it. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, then well done. You are brilliant. Thank you so much. Because, YouTube metrics suggest that you stopped watching this about 40 minutes ago. So if you're still watching, then you're one of the good ones. You're not one of the.
But you know what the reason it is because they watch it and then they hit pause and then they go and make a coffee and they come back and
go and eat some bibimbap and
eat some bibimbap. Go onto Twitter and go. You need to cancel Luke and Paul. Then come back to it and then.
Okay, all right. Well, in any case, have a lovely day, morning, afternoon, evening, or night, and I will speak to you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen of Luke's English Podcast, thank you for having me. Thanks for listening to me again. This is always a pleasure.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, bye-bye, everyone. Do you want to say bye-bye with me?
I normally you do the bye. Or have you stopped doing that?
No, I know. I keep doing that.
You keep doing that? All right.
I'll get cancelled if I stop doing that. Thank you very much, everyone. Speak to you again on the podcast soon. But for now, it's time to say goodbye.
Bye. 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 Bye.